My dear learners, for this course on finite element analysis. In this module 2, we are discussing on analysis of bars. In our previous lecture, we have solved a problem on analysis of bar using elimination method, also using penalty method. Let us continue our discussion on analysis of bar. In today's lecture, we are solving a problem on stepped bar using both elimination method and verifying our answers using penalty approach. The problem number 2 of our discussion on analysis of bar states that for the stepped bar shown in figure, determine the displacement, stress and support reaction using elimination method, B using penalty approach. So we have a stepped bar as shown in the figure. So as per the rules to place the nodes, if I clearly observe, since we have a fixed end, I should place a node there, and here we have application of point load and also there is a change in cross section area, so therefore I should place the node, which means that there is a material discontinuity. So therefore I should place node here, and also I am applying a force F2 at this point, therefore I should place node here. So therefore I can model this problem using 3 nodes and 2 elements, and these 2 elements are different in nature because we have different cross section area and different Young's modulus. By seeing the value of Young's modulus, we can understood that the element 1 is mild steel and element 2 seems to be aluminium based on the value of Young's modulus. Let us solve this problem. If I move for step number 1, that is finite element model. So by seeing the problem, I can model this problem with 2 elements and 3 nodes like this. We can place 3 nodes. So here we have fixed boundary condition. So we have displacement u1 at this point. This is node number 1, node number 2 and node number 3. This is element number 1 and element number 2. Both the elements are of same length, that is 50 millimeters. And the displacements are u1, u2 and u3. We have application of load F1 and F2 on node 2 and node 3. So in order to make confusion, he has specified the load as F1 and F2, but he has placed it on node number 2 and node number 3. So in order to avoid confusion, let us take this as F dash and F double dash so that we can avoid confusion. So this is about the finite element model what we have. Next, moving ahead for step 2. Step 2 is to find element stiffness matrix. Coming for element stiffness matrix, we have already derived the expression for element stiffness matrix, which is given by AE by length of the element 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. So if I solve for element 1, the cross section area of element 1 is 150 millimeters square into Young's modulus is 200 GPa. Therefore I should take 200 into 10 to the power of 3 megapascals divided by length is 50 mm. So I get the answer as 6 lakhs. So if I observe, the loads are in kilonewtons, so therefore I will write this in 10 to the power of 3. So if I write it in 10 to the power 3, I will get the answer as 600 into 10 to the power of 3. So 10 to the power of 3 times 600 minus 600 minus 600 and plus 600. Now if I solve for element 2, I will get the value as for element 2. We have the Young's modulus area is 100, Young's modulus is 70 into 10 to the power of 3 divided by length remains same 50. So if I solve, I will get 140 into 10 to the power of 3. So therefore I can write it as 10 to the power of 3 times 140 minus 140 minus 140 and plus 140. Now moving ahead for step 3. Step 3 is global stiffness matrix. So if I move for global stiffness matrix, the order of global stiffness matrix is n cross n, where n is number of nodes. Here we have 3 nodes, so therefore the order of global stiffness matrix is 3 cross 3. So as I said, first let us write the element stiffness matrix of element 1, that is 600 minus 600 minus 600 and plus 600. Now in order to construct the global stiffness matrix, the last diagonal term of element 1 should be added with first diagonal term of element 2. Similarly, the last diagonal term of element 2 should be added with first diagonal term of element 3. Likewise, I should keep on constructing the global stiffness matrix. So by using the same procedure, I should add the first diagonal term of element 2 with the last diagonal term of previous element. I added. So now continuing the matrix, I will get minus 140, minus 140 and plus 140. Since we have only 2 elements, this is the global stiffness matrix. We have element 1 and element 2. Fill the unfilled position with zeros. So thereby we have found out the global stiffness matrix for this problem. So the maximum value of global stiffness matrix element value is 740 into 10 to the power of 3 newtons per millimeter. Now once I complete the global stiffness matrix, step 4 is the load vectors. So if you observe, this problem has no body force. This problem has no traction. And if I come for point load, this problem has point load. So therefore, I can directly construct the global load vector, because the element load vector does not require any conversion for point load. So therefore, at node 1 we don't have any load. At node 2 we have a load of 10 kilonewtons. At node number 3 we have a load of 5 kilonewtons into 10 to the power of 3. So this completes load vector. Now moving for step number 5 is equilibrium equation. If I move for step 5, that is equilibrium equation, that is K matrix into Q matrix is equal to F matrix. The global stiffness matrix is 10 to the power of 3 times 600 minus 600 0 minus 600 740 minus 140 0 minus 140 and plus 140. This is multiplied by Q matrix, that is U1, U2, U3. This must be equal to force. At node 1 we don't have any force, 0. At node 2, if you observe, the force F1 is acting opposite to the direction of x, so therefore it is negative. I should take it as minus 10. I should take it as minus 10, very important. So kindly make correction here, it is minus 10 because it is acting opposite to the positive direction of x. So hence it is minus 10, whereas at node 3 the force is acting along the direction of x, which is 5 kilonewtons into 10 to the power of 3. So this is about equilibrium equation. Moving for step 6. Step 6 is application of boundary condition. Application of boundary condition. So if I move for application of boundary condition, let us solve by using elimination method first. If I use elimination method, we have the known boundary condition, that is U1 is equal to 0 because node 1 is fixed. So hence, if I rewrite the equilibrium equation and apply the boundary condition, I will get minus 600 0 minus 600 740 minus 140 0 minus 140 and plus 140. Displacements are u1, u2, u3. This must be equal to 0, minus 10, 5 into 10 to the power of 3. So I can cancel off 10 power 3, 10 power 3 on both sides. Since u1 is equal to 0, I can eliminate first row and first column. So now, as per elimination method of handling the boundary condition, in the remaining rows, the term which is eliminated in its column should be multiplied with its respective displacement and taken towards RHS. This is the actual way of applying the elimination method of handling the boundary condition. Now, in the remaining two rows, row 2 and row 3, the terms which are eliminated in their column, are minus 600 and 0. So these two should be multiplied with their respective displacements and taken towards RHS. So if I do that, I end up with 740 minus 140 minus 140 plus 140 multiplied by u2 and u3. This must be equal to minus 10. So minus 600 will be get multiplied with u1. So therefore it will be plus 600 u1. The 0 will be multiplied with u1 and moves to RHS. So 5 minus 0 into u1. So this is what we will get. So this is the proper way of applying the elimination method of handling the boundary condition, which we have clearly discussed in the lecture 1 of this module 2. Since u1 is equal to 0, this 2 will get eliminated and I will get what are the terms remaining. If in case u1 is not equal to 0, it has some other values, then you will end up with a wrong answer if you solve for the remaining terms. Kindly don't do that. If it is 0, it's well and good, it is automatically get eliminated. If it has some value other than 0, then it has some significant effect and you might end up with wrong answer. Like problem number 1, what you have discussed. If you solve for the remaining terms, you will end up with the wrong answer. So therefore, always apply the elimination method what it says. So this is what it says. Since u1 is 0, these two terms are automatically eliminated. Now if I solve this equation by using two equations with two unknowns, I will get 740 minus 140 minus 10 minus 140 plus 140 and 5. So the answers are u1 is turning u2 is turning out to be minus 8.33 into 10 to the power of minus 3 millimeters, and u3 is turning out to be plus 0.02738 millimeters. So therefore, the displacements for this problem is let me take it as Q transpose, because Q matrix is a column matrix. Because of space constraint, I want to write it in horizontally. So Q transpose will become U1 is 0, U2 is minus 8.33 into 10 to the power of minus 3, and U3 is 0.0274. All are in millimeters. So this is the displacement what I got from elimination method of handling the boundary condition. Now moving for calculation of strain, we know that strain epsilon is given by U final minus U initial by length of the element. So for element 1, 2 is the final node, 1 is the initial node. So therefore, if I solve, I will get U2 minus U1 by length of the element. U2 is minus 8.33, 10 to the power of minus 3, minus U1 is 0, length of the element is 50. So epsilon 1 is turning out to be minus 1.666 into 10 to the power of minus 4. Similarly, epsilon 2 is turning out to be, for element 2, 3 is the final node, 2 is the initial node. it is u3 minus u2 by length of the element. u3 is 0.02738, minus of minus is plus 8.33 into 10 to the power of minus 3 divided by length of the element is 50. So if I solve, I will get the strain in element 2 as 7.142 into 10 to the power of minus 4. So now if I want to calculate the stress, that is stress sigma is equal to Young's modulus strain. So therefore sigma 1 is equal to minus 1.666 into 10 to the power of minus 4 into Young's modulus of element 1 is 200 GPa, that is 200 into 10 to the power of 3 MPa. Similarly sigma 2 will be 7.142 into 10 to the power of minus 4 into 70 into 10 to the power of 3. So I will get the answer as minus 1.666 into 10 to the power of minus 4 into 200 into 10 to the power of 3, which is nothing but minus 33.32 megapascals, and sigma 2 is 7.142 10 to the power of minus 4 into 70 10 to the power of plus 3, which is nothing but 49.994 megapascals, which is approximately 50 megapascals is the stress in element 2, whereas stress in element 1 is minus 33.32 megapascals. Moving for support reaction. Next, moving for support reaction. For support reaction from elimination method, we have R is equal to K matrix into Q matrix minus F matrix. So therefore the support reaction R1, R2 and R3 will be equal to, coming for K matrix, we have 10 to the power of 3, 600, minus 600, 0, minus 600, 740, minus 140, 0, minus 140 and plus 140. Coming for Q matrix, it is 0, minus 8.33 into 10 to the power of minus 3, and we have 0.0274 minus, we have the load as 0, minus 10 to the power of 4 and 5 into 10 to the power of 3. So very important, this is minus 10 because force on node 2 is acting opposite direction of x. Now this is matrix A, matrix B and matrix C. So to solve this, matrix A into matrix B minus matrix C. So to solve this, let me explain that. First, let us clear the calculator. Cleared. Next, go for setup. Select matrix. Go for matrix A. Matrix A is 3 cross 3. So the terms are 600 exponential 3 minus 600 exponential 3, 0, minus 600 exponential 3, 740 exponential 3, minus 140 exponential 3. Next we have 0, minus 140 10 power 3 and finally plus 140 10 to the power of 3. So this completes matrix A. Next I will go for shift matrix. I will go for dimension of matrix B. Matrix B is 3 cross 1. The first term is 0. Displacement of second term is minus 8.33 into 10 to the power of minus 3. Next, moving for U3, it is 0.02738. Next, I'll go for shift matrix C. Go for matrix. I'll go for dimension of matrix C, that is 3 cross 1. First term is 0, second term is minus 10 to the power of 4, and third term is 5 into 10 to the power of 3. So this completes ABC matrix. Press on. Next you open a bracket, go for shift matrix A into shift matrix B, close bracket, minus shift matrix C. So this will yields us the answer as 4998 newtons, whereas the reactions at node 2 and node 3 should be 0, which are nearly equal to 0 compared to, they are negligible compared to R1. So the answer is R1 is equal to 4998 newtons. That is, the support reactions are R1, R2 and R3 are 4998 newtons, 2.6 and minus 0.6, which are negligible compared to R1. So R1 is what I require because I have support only at node number 1. The answer is 4998 newtons. Let me pause this video for a while so that people can copy it down. Later we will solve the same problem by using penalty method. Next, moving ahead for solving the same problem using penalty method up to step 5, everything remains same. Now, coming for step 6, application of boundary condition, we will be using penalty method. As you know, in penalty method, the node displacement are denoted by using the small letter a, which is implication of approximate displacement, small a. So for this problem, since node number 1 is fixed, the approximate displacement A1 can be taken as 0. So since I know the displacement at node 1, I should add the maximum value C stiffness to K11, and correspondingly I should add F1 plus CA1. These two people clearly understood in our lecture number 1 of this module 2. Also in our previous lecture I explained. So that is for calculation of maximum value C. You people already know that C is equal to maximum of global stiffness matrix into 10 to the power of 4. The maximum value in the global stiffness matrix is 714 to 10 power 3, which you can see here. Global stiffness matrix, the maximum value is 714 to 10 to the power of 3. So therefore it is 714 to 10 to the power of 3 into 10 to the power of 4. So therefore the value of C is 74 into 10 to the power of 8. 74 into 10 to the power of 8 is the answer. So therefore, by applying the penalty method boundary condition, we will end up with K11. So K11 is 600 into 10 to the power of 3 plus 74 into 10 to the power of 8. And we have minus 600 into 10 to the power of 3 and 0. Here we have minus 600 into 10 to the power of 3 we have 740 into 10 to the power of 3 minus 140 into 10 to the power of 3, and next we have 0 minus 140 into 10 to the power of 3 and plus 140 into 10 to the power of 3. So I don't know A3, so therefore I should not add any value to K33. K into Q matrix is U1, U2, U3. This is equal to F1 plus CA1. F1 is 0. Force at node 1, not that F1. Don't get confused. Force at node 1 is 0 plus C times A1. C is 74 into 10 to the power of 8 into A1, which is 0. At node 2, we have a load of minus 10 into 10 to the power of 3. At node 3, we have a load of plus 5 into 10 to the power of 3. So this is F1 plus CA1. This you people already know. So we have applied the boundary condition, that is for K11 we have added the maximum value C. Correspondingly I added force at node 1 with CA1. Now if I solve this by using equations with 3 unknowns, first we have 600 10 power 3 plus 74 10 to the power of 8. Next minus 600 10 to the power of 3, 0. Next we have 0. So 0 plus 0 is 0. Next we have minus 600 10 power 3, 740 10 power 3, minus 140 10 to the power of 3, and minus 10 10 power 3, 0, minus 140 10 to the power of 3, plus 140 10 to the power of 3, and 5 10 to the power of 3. So if I solve, I get the answers for displacements as, we get displacements that is Q matrix is equal to U1, U2, U3, which is equal to U1 is turning out to be minus 6.756756 757 into 10 to the power of minus 7, 6.756756 757 10 to the power of minus 7. U2 will be minus 8.334 into 10 to the power of minus 3, and U3 will be 0.02738. So you can see that we have got the same answer for U2 and U3, and also we have calculated what is that negligible deformation happening at node number 1. Now using this we can calculate the value of stresses and strains. We get the same answer for stresses and strains because we have the same answers as what we got in elimination method. So therefore I will skip the calculation of stresses and strains and I will directly go to support reaction, because calculation of support reaction is a bit different here. If we go for calculation of support reaction, we have reaction only at node number 1. So therefore R1 will be minus C of U1 minus A1. So minus the value of C is 74 into 10 to the power of 8. U1 is minus 6.756 757 into 10 to the power of minus 7 minus A1 is 0. So therefore the support reaction is turning out to be minus 74 into 10 to the power of 8 into minus 6.75675 6757 10 to the power of minus 7, which is nothing but 5000 newtons. So support reaction is 5000 newtons from penalty method, whereas in case of elimination method we found it to be 4998. Only 2 newtons is the difference. So we got the same answer, hence the solution is also verified, the solution is correct. So if you calculate for R2 and R3, you will get negligible answer, but you cannot calculate for R2 and R3 because we don't know the approximate values of A2 and A3, and also moreover it is a support reaction. We have support only at node number 1, hence we are calculating only at reaction at node number 1. That's all. So this is the complete solution for problem number 2, which we have solved and verified our answers by both elimination method